Hey everyone, welcome back to my Anthropology Journal podcast. At this point, if you're still listening, you're either really into this course or just weirdly committed to my voice. Either way, I appreciate it. This week wasn't about learning something brand new, it was about seeing how everything connects. We circled back to eugenics, not as some outdated theory, but as the foundation of criminal justice, intelligence testing, and even modern mental health systems, especially for indigenous communities. The more I thought about it, the more it felt like the same story repeating itself in different forms. In lecture, we looked at those classic eugenics family studies, the Kallikocks, the Jukes, the mongrel Virginians. These weren't random scientific mistakes. They were coordinated projects designed to prove that poverty, disability, and so-called degeneracy were hereditary. It was an entire network of experts building systems that allowed governments to cage, sterilize, and erase people under the excuse of mental hygiene. Nicole Rafter's work made it even clearer. Early criminologists weren't trying to understand why certain communities faced discrimination or poverty. They were trying to prove that those communities were naturally criminal. It's the same predictable move every time. The system creates inequality, then blames biology for the results. That's not science. It's ideology dressed up as research. And this thinking didn't end in the early 1900s. Philippe Rushton, a professor at Western, pushed race-based intelligence theories into the 2000s. Watching him speak at white supremacist conferences was disturbing, not just because of what he said, but because of how openly his work was used to justify hate. Meanwhile, students on campus were paying tuition while he mailed out race science that recycled old eugenic arguments. Then there's Dr. Ibram X. Kendi, who explains how the SAT and IQ tests were literally designed by eugenicists. The goal was never neutral measurement. It was to prove that black people, Latinos, women, and poor people were intellectually inferior. So today, when you see score disparities, the real question isn't what's wrong with these groups. It's why are we still using tests built to exclude them? The shift to mental health and colonial trauma pushed the conversation even deeper. The video on social determinants of mental health showed that mental health isn't just brain chemistry. It's shaped by housing, racism, unemployment, language loss, and land dispossession. These factors create higher risks for depression, anxiety, and suicide among indigenous communities. Then you watch, is Canada's mental health care system failing indigenous peoples? And it's hard not to be frustrated. People in crisis face long wait lists, endless red tape, and counselors who don't understand or even believe their experiences of residential schools and intergenerational trauma. One person described the NIHB barriers as economic racism. Providers avoid working with indigenous clients because getting paid takes too long. That's not a broken system. That's a system working exactly as designed. And this ties directly back to eugenics, deciding who is worthy of care and who is a burden. The language has changed, but the selective access to healthcare hasn't. That's why strength of our roots felt like a different kind of answer. Instead of asking how to fix individuals, it asks what systems broke connection in the first place. The 4 pillars, connection to self, time, land, and community spirituality, flip the entire model. They show how wellness is collective, relational, and cultural, not just medical. Connection to self matters when entire generations were punished for speaking their language. Connection to time challenges the idea that productivity equals value. Connection to land becomes political when extraction destroys places that hold cultural and family memory. And community and spirituality matter because survival has always been collective for indigenous peoples. For me, the biggest takeaway is this: you can't separate race, disability, intelligence, or mental health. Eugenics stitched them together, and colonialism used these ideas to justify harm against indigenous, black, and other marginalized communities. Anthropology's job isn't to say that was bad, it's to recognize how these ideas still shape our institutions and our definitions of what a normal body or mind looks like. The goal isn't pretending we've moved past it. The goal is seeing it clearly enough that we stop rebuilding it.